Howdy, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to allow a few more minutes, 1 or 2 more minutes, just for folks to come in, but we'll get started shortly. Uh, if you have anything that you're hoping to learn about in this chat today or in this workshop today, please put it in the chat. We're happy to get started. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to get started in just 1 minute. It's like from Aaron, starting a new Airbnb business, and they're hoping to learn more about customers. Maine is definitely a good state for that. We have a lot of tourism in the state, and there'll be definite ways that we can cover the kind of folks that you're looking to draw to your Airbnb today. All right, let's go ahead and I'll share my screen and we'll get started. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Dan Reed. I am the Marketing and Program Manager for SCORE Maine. So we really do appreciate you joining us for this workshop. And I do want to say thank you, before we get started, I want to say thank you to the Maine Technology Institute, who's a huge supporter of SCORE Maine and has sponsored this workshop. Just to give you a little background on myself, my name's Dan Reed. I'm the Marketing and Program Manager at SCORE, which means that I do all of our marketing here at SCORE Maine. I'm also a board member and chair of the marketing committee for Propel, which is a young professionals group in Portland. And I'm on the committee for the economic vitality of Bath Main Street. So I'd like to say I have a background where reaching our target audience is really an important piece of the work that I do in our community. And I'm hoping that I can put a little bit of that out there for everyone on a call today. Just want to go over some of the things that we're hoping to address today. We're going to be looking at kind of the basics of marketing and market research and how those intersect to gain a basic understanding of who your customers are and really who are your best customers, not just any customer, but the ones that you want to appeal to the most and that you'll get the most out of your marketing dollars trying to reach. We'll talk a little bit about developing an ideal customer canvas or an ideal customer profile. There will be a worksheet that's sent out after this workshop for you to fill out. So if you don't have something like that, just check the follow-up email and you'll be able to get that. We'll talk a little bit about researching psychographics and demographics, which are the two different ways you can kind of categorize or describe a customer's background and why they might be a good customer for you. And we're going to talk a little bit about different advertising options that are available and what those might look like in relation to your target audience and how to reach them. And to just get started, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please don't hesitate to put them in the Q&A panel, and we will definitely get to them by the end. And we'll get started by talking about what really is marketing, what is market research, why does this matter? If you're a small business owner and you get a lot of foot traffic, this might not be something that you engage in too much or think about too much. But if you ever post on social media or send an email, things like those are considered marketing. And when you do marketing, there are a few different audiences that you're going to want to keep in mind, uh, and kind of think about marketing in terms of reaching these different audiences. To kind of put it a little more bluntly, my personal mentor says marketing isn't about you, it's about your customers. So if marketing is about your customers, then how can we think about your customers in a way to reach them better? And there are a few different ways that you can think about the kinds of customers you might have. You might have customers that you see every time, or they're your big customers. They purchase a lot from you, or they utilize your service quite regularly. They might engage on social media quite often, or the emails that you send out, they might send your email to someone else. I like to kind of bucket those folks as evangelists, or those people who are really brand ambassadors. They really enjoy your business or what you provide, and they want to go out there and tell the rest of the world about it. And the next kind of customer that leads to being that brand ambassador is someone who might be in your orbit. Maybe they don't quite know enough about your product yet to really kind of step into that role of someone who really loves it, but they're getting there. Maybe they've liked a few of your Facebook posts, or maybe they've seen an email, or maybe they purchased your product for the first time, and they're just getting started to understand what your business is, and what you do. And then in that third bucket, we kind of have out of orbit, or people who might not know much about you. Maybe they heard about you, maybe they haven't. And those are the folks that you want to eventually bring around and show them your product, and get them interested. Or maybe they're the kind of person who they're just not your target audience and the product's not really for them. And that's totally okay. And when you're thinking about marketing, you want to think about how can you speak to these different groups of folks and really reach out to them on in the way that they would want to be reached out to, and in a way that they understand in relation to your business. And what I mean by that is every audience is going to respond a little differently to your marketing, and they're going to have different ways that they interact with your marketing, or different channels or avenues that they prefer to see your brand on. So what's the best way to get to know these customers is to really start by understanding your business. Are you a business to business, or are you a business to customer, or a business to consumer? Does that means, do you provide a service or a product that other businesses use, or is this something that the average person might be able to find and use? Or maybe your product is on the shelves at a local supermarket. That would be business to customer. And then we can break it down a little more from there. So, do you sell products? Do you sell services? Do you sell an experience? When people are buying from you, what exactly is it that they're buying? And you don't want to limit yourself to just one of these categories. Maybe your business does a little more than that. Uh, but one way that you can really kind of drill down into, what that looks like is what other businesses do your customers purchase from? And that'll give you a better understanding of how those folks really interact with marketing generally. And how do customers see your business? So when someone is on your Facebook page or your Instagram page, and they're scrolling through and they've never seen it before, how does that first impression really land for them? Or if they're getting an email for the first time, or they're seeing your product at a farmer's market, with that fresh perspective, like what does that look like, and how can you connect with someone who's having that first time experience? That really gets into knowing your customer. So who is your best customer? Who's that person who walks by your booth at the farmer's market and goes, that's really interesting, I want to stop and talk to that person, learn a little bit more, and make a purchase? Who's that person who just kind of walks by and really probably won't buy your product? It's good to know who both of those people are, so that you know how to talk to both of those people about what you do. Where do they spend their time? Are these folks who are spending a lot of their time on social media, or are they out in the community somewhere? And it might be better to try to make a connection in person. Do these folks respond to emails? Do they read their emails that often? Do they just have everything go to junk and not look at it? These are all the kinds of questions that will really give you a better understanding of what's a good avenue to approach your customer, and what kinds of things do they want to see versus what kinds of things we're putting out there. When are they in the right mindset? This is a classic one. No one wants to get a phone call while they're in the middle of dinner to talk about something related to their day job. Uh, that's a trope in American culture, and that's one way that marketing just doesn't land. And you'll want to keep that in mind. If people don't buy from you on social media, maybe it doesn't make sense to be posting on Facebook 4 or 5 times a week. And another thing, how much contact is too much? Uh, on the other end of the spectrum, we have emails. If maybe you receive 100 emails from a brand within a month, that's probably going to flood your inbox. So you're probably going to unsubscribe from them and block them. If it's every once in a while and it's almost like a nice little treat to see that and be able to buy something for yourself, then that's a much more appropriate amount of emails. And maybe it needs to be somewhere in the middle. That really all kind of depends on your audience, your products, and how often they'll use them and how much they want to connect with you. So to kind of get into what this all really means, I think one of the easiest ways, and I know I'm definitely a visual learner, so one of the best ways for me to learn is to have an example so that I can really see what's going on here. So we're going to cover this with an example of a yoga studio in Biddeford. This is not a real business. This is just a way that we can kind of engage in that market research, better understand a business, and kind of make decisions on how we're going to market and where we want to spend our ad dollars. So for this example, we're going to be opening a yoga studio in Biddeford. We want to offer yoga classes and exercise space. And we kind of want to create a community space for people who are interested in healthy living so that we're not just doing yoga classes, and we want to kind of create a little bit more than that for people to get engaged with. So let's start at the top. We have to know our business. What are we providing? What do people want from us? And what makes sense? In this instance, we're providing a service in the form of yoga classes and times where people can meet and gather with others, but in a really real way that's also providing an experience where people might go to make new friends or bring their friends to have a good time with one another and kind of be able to connect with their shared interests. Is this something that we're going to be providing to other businesses, or is this something that we're providing directly to consumers? For a yoga studio, this could be both. But I think in this instance, it might make a little bit more sense for us to focus on the folks who live in Biddeford and the surrounding areas and kind of create that sense of community that we're really looking for. And what do other similar businesses do? When you look at yoga studios across the country or even other yoga studios in Maine, what are they doing to market themselves? One of the biggest things that you'll see is they do a lot of social media. So social media should probably be on my marketing plan. And whom do I know who might make a good customer or an ideal customer for our yoga studio so that we can kind of flesh out a little bit more who our customer might be? In our example, we're going to have our friend Abby be our example. Abby is just someone that kind of generally represents who the target market might be for this business. So know your customer. What are some things that you might want to know about your customer when you're trying to make a decision on where you might want to market your business? There are really kind of two different groups in market research for doing customer research, and two different buckets in which to kind of categorize folks. You have demographics, which are people would call like hard characteristics, like age, where they live, their education level, what they do for work. And then you have those, what people would call soft characteristics, which are psychographics. These are behaviors. So goals that they might have in life, motivations or frustrations, or different hobbies that they enjoy or spend their time doing. So how can we really put this together, or what can we do to create a structure so that we have a way to really start working on this for our personal businesses? This is where an ideal customer profile really comes in, kind of creating a fake worksheet for someone that just kind of represents a buyer for your business. It can help you find answers related to your business and why people might want to purchase your products. It gives you an understanding of why people make buying decisions. What part of the decision was really important to our friend Abby to utilize a yoga studio? And these customer profiles can really be as complex or as simple as you need. You can make multiple customer profiles for the multiple different kinds of customers that you might have. You might even make an ideal customer profile for a person who isn't an ideal customer. Like, hey, every time we work with every time we work with someone who does new construction, that's just not a good fit for us. We're much better at working with folks who do renovations. That's an example of what an ideal customer versus a non-ideal customer might look like. So this is a more fleshed out version of our ideal customer canvas. It just kind of provides a little more detail. Both of these versions will be emailed out to you after the workshop today. And I just kind of filled in some basics of our friend Abby. Abby's a woman who's around 25. She rents in Biddeford. She works in Portland, so she has a little bit of a commute every day where she listens to the radio, Hot Radio Maine. She is a really big fan of healthy living, getting her exercise in, meeting new people, sustainability, green energy. She works as a barista. She is also a musician as well. And she's really looking to meet some new friends in the Biddeford and Portland area. This gives us a lot more information about Abby and other people who are similar to Abby who might be interested in our yoga studio. And you can get these kinds of answers just by asking a friend. If you know someone who'd be a good fit, or if you already have customers, most of the time they'd be more than happy to give you answers to these questions and give you a little bit of insight into how you can do your business better. People are very friendly and helpful, especially when you ask nicely. Another way is you can get a little bit of help from your local Maine librarian. There are databases out there that any Mainer can access with a public library card. In the instance of the entire state, you can get a library card anyone in the state of Maine can get a library card from the Bangor Public Library. This is a phenomenal resource. I've listed Hannah Cyrus, who's a reference librarian there who can help you with that. The slide decks will be going out after if you'd like to reach out to Hannah. And that can get you access to several different databases that have those kinds of psychographic and demographic pieces of information on them so that you can better understand how to fill out your ideal customer worksheet. And we're going to go into a few examples from things like Consumer Reports, Data Axle, and Gale Demographics Now in this slide deck to give you an understanding of how these tools can help. So what can this data look like? This is an example of a existing customer profile from Gale Business Data, or Gale Demographics Now business data. And it's a profile that they call influenced by influencers. And basically what that means is it kind of represents a person in a specific demographic that has a specific kinds of interests. And I thought this one really kind of fit our friend Abby for our yoga studio in Biddeford. So now that we've identified this profile that we've gotten through the data that we received from the public library, what can we really do with this data? This data is out there and we've received it. What makes sense from here? One of the other things that you can do with this data from the library is you can get a map of the area. So this is a map of Biddeford. I've also included Portland in here just so that we can get a little bit of a view of where other people in our target demographic live. And you can see in this map, it's a 15-mile range from Biddeford, where we're looking for that influenced by influencers variable. So we're looking to see how many people from that demographic live in this area. And as you can see by the color difference, Biddeford is a hotspot and Portland is a hotspot. That gives us a pretty good idea of how many people are in the area based on ratios. It doesn't give you an exact number, but it gives you an idea of how many people are in the area who might fit our target demographic. What does all this mean, right? It's a lot of data. It probably takes a while to sift through, but what does it mean? Why does it matter? How does it help? The darker areas indicate more of the target audience, which can help you find things like a location. It can help you find a good area to put up flyers, or if you want to send mailers to the houses in the area or a neighborhood, it lets you send mailers. It can let you do targeted advertisement on social media. If you know there's no one who lives in that town who's in your target demographic, don't advertise there. Social media has great what they call geofencing for your advertising options. It can allow you to do things like pick a good radio station or find other businesses in the area that share your demographic that you can co-market with or do some kind of shared event with. And it also helps you pick a platform. This kind of information lets you know, this kind of information can help drive you towards whether or not you should be using radio or using a website or social media. Does it make sense for me to put up flyers in this neighborhood? These are all different ways that it can help you save time and money by understanding who your customers are and how to reach out to them and what that means for your local area. And another thing to keep in mind is not all platforms are good for all businesses. Some industries have restrictions on how they can advertise and where. Some industries just your target demographic isn't going to be on Facebook, or it's not going to be on Instagram. Maybe the people you're looking for are going to be on TikTok. And knowing where your customers spend their time is really going to inform that, and it's going to let you know how you need to spend your time marketing. And that's great, but like really, which platform? What platforms are best? There's a thought experiment or a little exercise that you can do for that. Just take a minute and think, can you really envision your ideal customer using this platform? For example, if you sell accessibility equipment to seniors so that they can stay in their homes longer, can you really visualize them sitting down on TikTok and looking through videos of accessibility equipment? Maybe you can. Maybe that's something that's common with that demographic. Those are the decisions that you're going to have to make, and things that you'll want to think about, and really try to put yourself in your customer's shoes. As I mentioned earlier, my mentor is very fond of saying that marketing is for your customers. It's not for you. And this is a really great exercise to kind of get into the mind of your customer and see whether or not it makes sense. How do they engage with this platform? If you're selling to someone, or if you're selling to a business, and the person that you're looking to sell to is the CEO, they probably don't want to get a phone call on a Saturday morning. They probably don't make those buying decisions when they see a Facebook ad come across their feed when they're at home. You'll want to know when and where to actually do that advertising based on when it's a good buying decision for your customer. Need is the greatest driver. So people are going to be more likely to buy food from a restaurant when they're hungry. People aren't going to want to get advertising for a restaurant at 1:30 in the afternoon after they've already had lunch. And another thing is, not only can you envision your customers on this platform, but do you envision your brand on this platform? Can you really see yourself using that platform regularly? If you have to put in the legwork to post on a regular basis, is that something that you see yourself doing, or is that something you can see one of your team members doing? That's really a huge thing to consider when you're marketing is, do you actually like doing the marketing that you're trying to do? And if not, who's going to do that marketing for you? Don't be afraid to ask someone who's close to your customer profile if they like what advertising options they use. And what I mean by advertising options is, do they use Facebook? Do they still watch TV, or do they only use Netflix and other streaming platforms? If they do use Netflix and other streaming platforms, do any of those platforms run ads? Are they more of a YouTube person? Uh, do they even watch videos, or are all the videos that they watch normally like movies? If they don't watch short form videos, maybe it doesn't make sense to have a TikTok page or an Instagram feed. So we have a little bit of a platform choice example here, just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm really talking about. When we're talking about a yoga studio, our yoga studio in Biddeford, what social media platform do you really think is best? And go ahead, and if you have a guess, put it in the chat. Do you think for our yoga studio that we're hoping to set up, where our target audience is our friend Abby, do you think we should be posting on Instagram, or do you think we should be posting on LinkedIn? Go ahead and wait a second, see if we get any answers in the chat here. Looks like from Catherine, we have Instagram, and Anne as well. I definitely would agree with Instagram. I think Instagram is going to be much more likely to have our target audience. LinkedIn might be a good choice if you're looking to do things like, as I mentioned, B2B might be one of those things a yoga studio could engage in. Maybe there are definitely yoga studios out there who do corporate retreats. And maybe that's a direction that we want to go with our yoga studio in the future. But at the moment, Instagram definitely hits our target audience a lot better. It hits the goal that we're looking to do of creating a community a lot better as well. So those are things that we want to keep in mind when we're talking about different platforms and different ways that we're going to want to advertise. Does it make sense for us to be there? That also gets towards organic platforms versus paid platforms. How much does it cost for us to be there? And for organic platforms, these are things like social media or email marketing, where it's usually very low cost or free. It usually requires a lot more time. You're typically either you have to put in a lot of time every time you're doing advertising, or it takes a long time for you to build an audience. You need help understanding how to connect. You need a deep understanding, rather, of how to connect with your ideal customer. You have to really understand who your ideal customer is and the kinds of decisions that they make in order to grow a large organic platform. And organic platforms are really good for long-term business marketing strategy. So this is a long-term engagement strategy to keep people engaged with your business and keep them coming back. There are also paid platforms. When people think about marketing, a lot of times this is what they think about, is putting a social ad up or boosting a post on Facebook or Instagram. These usually provide very quick and fast results. If you're looking to get sales by the end of the week, this is the kind of thing that you want to do, as a paid platform. Uh, a strong customer profile will usually directly help with targeting your clients, but it's usually not necessary for getting results. It'll definitely help you get better results, but it's not always required to get any results. And it's very good for short-term results. I'm a believer that you don't necessarily want paid marketing to be the cornerstone of your marketing strategy, and really having a good organic marketing strategy that you can use paid advertising on top of, in my opinion, for a lot of small businesses, is the way to go. Paid marketing is really great for getting short-term results, but if that becomes your long-term plan, then you are starting off with investing a certain amount of money into your marketing, no matter what, just to get the basic results that you might otherwise get with organic marketing. So co-marketing, I mentioned this earlier. This is a great way to kind of not only get a better understanding of what your target audience might look like, but reach the target audience of another business. Co-marketing is when two businesses or two organizations collaborate on a goal. They'll market to their independent audiences together. Those are typically curated audiences. It's someone or a group of people who already strong believers, and they're that evangelist or that brand ambassador for the other business. And you're hoping to kind of convert a few of those people over to being in your orbit or being brand ambassadors for you. And you typically gain a lot of credibility through that kind of collaboration. You're talking to another brand's audience, where that brand already trusts to bring you on to speak to their audience. So that provides a lot of credibility right up front. This is usually low cost or free. And what I mean by that is the marketing for this is usually low cost or free. Usually there's a lot of work that goes into doing a partnership with another organization, but it doesn't always tend to be dollars. You want to co-market with your ideal customer in mind. And it's great for building your orbit. And we'll get into that a little bit in our next slide with a few examples. So a few co-marketing examples, and these are local to Biddeford for our example that we are working on with our yoga studio, is you can co-market in your industry, or you can co-market outside of your industry. Time and Tide of Biddeford did a discussion on coffee sourcing and kind of a little bit about how to work within the coffee industry with Yego Coffee out of Boston. And this is a great way because they both have ideal customers who are coffee aficionados. They typically really care about things like where their coffee is sourced, how it's made, how it's roasted. But they have different audiences in that they're geographically in different areas. Yego out of Boston and Time and Tide out of Biddeford. That gives both of those organizations a chance to reach out to very similar customers in a different market to try to broaden their scope and broaden their reach. And in a similar capacity, Lucky Pigeon Brewing, which is a gluten-free brewery in Biddeford, was hosting yoga in their studio before they would open on Saturday or Sunday mornings. This was phenomenal for the yoga studio because they're tapping into a potentially health-conscious target audience, folks with celiac disease or who have gluten intolerance and are otherwise tend to be a little bit on the more health conscious side of things, with their yoga class, which has the same goal and the same outcome. And this is a great way for two local businesses in the same market that don't exactly sell the same product to work together with each other. So that's like a really in-depth way of using your ideal customer profile. What's something that's a little easier, something we could take from this workshop and go and implement over the weekend or next week? Uh, Use it for social media. Use it for a social media boosted post. We do this all the time. When you're on your social media platform and you're looking to enter your target audience data, a lot of times when you're using Instagram or Facebook, they'll suggest that you use the advantage audience. The advantage audience is basically what Instagram and Facebook think is your ideal customer. You can get a little more granular than that. If you want to, you can kind of plug in some of those demographics and psychographic details that we were talking about earlier in our ideal customer profile to really narrow down who you're trying to focus on and get a little bit better of a conversion rate when you're looking to spend ad dollars. And you can do that just by entering audience details and then entering that information down here. And if you're in an industry where you have a hard time marketing because you might have limitations on your demographics that you can market to, that's why you want to know both your demographics and your psychographics. You might be able to fill that gap rather with your audience details being focused on psychographic information. In our example, for the yoga studio, folks who are interested in yoga, hot yoga, iced coffee, healthy diet, some of these other things that will indicate a customer experience that's in line with your business. So how else can you use it? Traditional media is another great way to use your ideal customer profile. If you go to a TV station and you have an ideal customer profile, they typically have what they would call a viewer profile or listener profile. And that lets you know who is typically listening to that radio station or who is typically watching at any one point in time. And that's a great way to kind of bridge the gap to know who you want to pick for your advertising partner. Typically, you can provide your ideal customer profile to your agent or underwriter, and they'll give you suggestions on what channel or what station they think that you should be advertising on. And you'll have to decide whether or not you want to create your own media or have the media company create one for you. And that's really up to you. That's a decision that you make. A lot of the times, the media placements will come with media. They'll, for example, they'll read it out, or they'll have one of their voice actors read it out, and that can be really good as it helps provide that credibility, right? If you have a radio host who's reading your ad for your business, and someone listens to that radio host every morning, that provides a level of credibility to you just through using that person's brand recognition. And that's what I have for you today. We kind of flew through the slide deck, but we have plenty of time for Q&A if anyone has any questions. We'll also be sending out the slide deck and be sending out the ideal customer worksheet as well after the webinar today. But we have plenty of time for Q&A if you want to put something in the Q&A panel. So we have a question: where did we get the map-based customer information? So this was provided through a login that was given to me from the Bangor Public Library. So as I mentioned, if you get your library card from the Bangor Public Library, or if your local library has access to Gale Business, you might have to ask them about that. Not every library does. You can use your library card to log into Gale Business. You typically do that through the library's website. And then it just takes a little bit of tweaking from there to get the different variables that you're looking to work on. Explain agent and underwriter for traditional media platforms. So yes, an agent or an underwriter will be the person that you're talking to who represents that radio or TV station and does ad placements. So that's basically going to be your sales contact there. And that person in a very straightforward way, wants your ad to succeed because they want you to come back and place another ad. So in a lot of ways, this person is on your team, but they are also looking to sell ad space. So that's something to keep in mind. They want you to be successful, but they also want to make the sale. Is Gale Business the same as Demographics Now? Uh, Gale Business Maps is a little, it's built on Demographics Now. I have recently utilized Demographics Now. It might not be available at certain locations. For example, the Portland Public Library no longer carries Demographics Now, but I did test it as recently as 2 months ago through the Bangor Public Library. Yeah, a review of the definition of psychographics. So I didn't put a definition of psychographics in the PowerPoint, but a great way to think about it is kind of as I mentioned earlier, demographics are more of like the hard descriptors, and psychographics are more of the soft descriptors. So a psychographic is a preference. Like I really like drinking hot coffee, even when it's hot out. I still kind of prefer hot coffee. That would be a psychographic descriptor of me versus someone who might drink tea or drink iced coffee. And a demographic descriptor would be that I'm a white male. So that would be kind of one of those like hard descriptors. The use of the Biddeford Yoga Studio is very helpful and made it realistic. Oh, thank you. I might actually put a few more examples in there. Maybe something that helps bridge the gap and make the understanding of the map data a little more helpful. I do think that could be improved a bit, but I do appreciate the feedback. Do we have any other questions today? A demo on how to use it. Someone had put in the chat. That is a good idea. I don't think I can do that at the moment. I'm just not prepared to make sure that we have a good demonstration. But I do like the idea of working that into the workshop. A great question from Catherine here. If we have an online business, would you still recommend including location as an important demographic information? I would. A lot of times, online businesses still are geographically locked, whether that's to your country or whether that might be to the folks that you can reach. Sometimes it's really hard to get outside of your local area when it comes to advertising, or maybe you have a product that does particularly well in your local area. And those are things that you're going to want to know before you, I would say, ditch the location information altogether. What that might look like, for example, is I'm from the Midwest. I do love living in Maine, but I'm originally from Toledo, Ohio. And we have a product there called hot dog sauce, which we put on grilled hot dogs. You can't find it anywhere else in the country. You can buy it online, but most of the people who purchase it are in the Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania area. And that's an example of like an online product that's kind of in a way geographically locked. All right. I don't see any more questions at the moment, but I do want to talk a little bit about SCORE. SCORE is a free small business mentoring and workshop service. We provide workshops just like this one. We also provide free one-on-one mentoring with our expert mentors who are just phenomenal people who are looking to give back. This is a no-cost service. So all of our mentors are volunteers who are just looking to give a little bit of their time to help local businesses. And if you don't have a mentor, please sign up for one. They're great folks and they can really help. And also take a look at our upcoming workshops. Uh, just to respond to Harry's question that we have in the chat, we will be sending out this information in a follow-up email feel free to respond to the follow-up email, and we will get you whatever it is that you're looking for, and get you in touch with someone who can help. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and we look forward to having you in the next one. Bye.